My name is Jennifer, and today I'll be taking you all on some sum functions. That is the sum function, the sum product, SUMIF, SUMIFS, and sum square. And to help me to explain what each function does, I'll be using these two tables which I have here. These are examples, and these are scenarios which I've created to try and explain each of these functions. Simply put, so now the first function I'll be looking at is the sum function. Simply put, the sum function is finding the total of a set of numbers. And if I had given someone this shopping list, Jennifer's shopping list, which has a list of items that she wants to buy, the items here, and then the quantities, the unit price, and then we have a blank space for the cost. Assuming I had given this shopping list to someone to help me compute, and asked the person to find the total number of items that will be purchased for Jennifer on her shopping list, one would simply use a calculator to enter each number one by one and add it. Likewise, you can do the same here on Excel by typing your formula in here. So to start a formula, you could start with an equals to sign. This equals to prompts Excel and lets Excel know that you want to enter a formula into it. And to find the total of this, one could simply click on each number and press a plus sign, each number, press a plus sign, all the way to the end. However, this is time consuming as you need to do this step repeatedly until you reach the end. If we had a large number of data that we're about to compute, this is not the step that we'll actually follow to find a total of a set of numbers. In Excel, what we can use is the sum function, that is press equal to sum. Notice that the first function here that's highlighted is the sum function. I simply press a tab and it's asking me to select my numbers. So since all the numbers I'm going to add are in this row, there will be no need for me to do separate selections and separating each number with a comma. I simply drag and select all the numbers I want to add, like this, and then close my bracket and press the enter button. Now I have the total number of items I want to purchase. This is the sum function. Now, in the sum product function, Excel attempts to find the sum of the products of each of these items here. If I was to find out how much each of these items, what the complete amount of money this shopping list would cost, you would actually need to multiply each of these items, like each row, to find out the products, then total it at the end here. So by doing so, I would multiply 5 times 200 to find out the total cost of my 5 white t-shirts, which is white 1000, and then I'll drag the formula down. So these values here is the product of what these two numbers in column D and C and D are. To find the total of this, I would find the sum of it and then select all this and then enter. So now I know that everything on this shopping list costs me 142,200. But it's actually a shorter way which you can actually find all this. You don't need to go into multiplying each row of each of the rows and then finding the sum of it. That's where we use the sum product function. So the sum product simply finds the sum of the product of the set of numbers you have selected in your arrays. So I type my sum, then I use my arrow keys to take me down to sum product and press tab. Notice that once I press tab, sum product is spelled to the full and then the bracket is open. Now Excel is asking me to select my first array. An array is a set group of numbers put together. So my first array is the numbers in column C, Once I'm done with my selection, I press a comma, and I also select the values in column D. Once I'm done with my selection, I close my brackets and then press the enter button. And as you can observe this, the numbers are the same, the values are the same. So what Excel in essence does is automatically it finds the product of each of these rows and then finds the sum. One thing you need to be careful of is that as you're selecting your array, you have to ensure that you select the same range of numbers. If not, Excel will give us an error message. Let me demonstrate what I mean. So if I had selected maybe a shorter range, as you can see here, the first array is C3 to C17, while the second array is D3 to D16. Excel will show an error message, which is not good. So in essence, we have to ensure that we select the same array number for the Excel to compute this properly. And undo. Right, so now we've done our sum product and then the SUMIF product using this shopping list as an example. Now, the second table over here, I'm going to explain how to use the SUMIF function and SUMIFS function. So assuming this is a table that shows the number of sales by this number of sales people, and then this is the total number of sales in morning and evening for different days that the data was collected for. Now, the SUMIF function allows me to select what I want Excel to find the sum of. So let me just quickly insert a row here so I can show you the difference. So now to find I'm going to, on this column, I'm going to write the total sales for the period that is being reviewed. So taking a lesson from what we just learned, I'm going to use the sum function to find the total sales, and I'll select everything in this row. So now I have a total sales of everything that was sold by Samuel for the first row, and then the second row I have for AGK and going on down to everyone's name. So this is the total sales for each person. Now using the SUMIF function, I get to give Excel one criteria for it to make a sum, find a sum for me. Now, I can use the SUMIF function to find out how many sales did Samuel make in the mornings. So, meaning my only criteria in this case is mornings. That means it will only calculate the sales done in the mornings. This is where we use the SUMIF function. So I start off my formula with typing equals to sum. I select SUMIF, and then Excel now has a list of things I must select for it to do this. So first of all, I need to select my range. The range is where the criteria I'm going to give Excel should be found. Once I'm done selecting my range, I press a comma. I give Excel my criteria. Since I want Excel to look for the sales in the morning, I can simply type morning here. But mind you, Excel only doesn't recognize text. It will treat a text in the formula as a number. So for me to make Excel know that this is a text, I need to put it in quotation marks. So here I have typed morning, and then I need to select my sum range. So the sum range has to be numbers. And then close my bracket and press enter. And my sum value is 77. So what Excel has done is looked through this whole row and has selected only the numbers that appear in the morning column. So let's do a quick test. This is morning, this is morning, this is also morning and morning. As you can see, this is 77, and the numbers I selected here automatically is 77, which means we're okay with our formula. Now, to run the formula through, I'll need to drag this down. However, this looks strange. Why am I getting zeros here? My formula is perfect here. This is my criteria range, this is my sum range, which works pretty well for me. But if I check down here, I noticed that as I was dragging my formula down, Excel was also moving down in its formulas, meaning that it was looking for morning in this section, which obviously you cannot see. That's why we gave it 0. To avoid this, what we need to fix to make absolute referencing to the particular cell. So I like to make absolute reference to this criteria range so that as I'm going down my formulas, this doesn't go down with me. So to do that is to have the dollar signs appear in between the letters and the text, like this. But this is one of the ways you can do it. There is actually a more formal or standard way of doing it on Excel, and that's by using the function the F4 button. Depending on the configuration of your keyboard, you may need to press your function button, which is next to the control, and the F4. When you take a look at your keyboard now, the buttons on your keyboard, the topmost row is where you can see the F1 to F12. And now you need to activate the F4 button to do this absolute referencing. So which is what I'm going to do myself. So to do absolute referencing, I like to do absolute referencing to cells C21 to J21. I'll press my function button and it will now put the dollar signs there for me. In some keyboards, you may need to press the function button with the F4 button, or straight up please press the F4 button. So depending on how your keyboard is configured, you can do either of the two. And I hit the enter button and drag this down. So now I have my sum values. When I check this row, I can see that it's the criteria range is fixed, while the place that is to be summed is at least goes down with my formula, which is what I wanted to do. So let me continue. So remember here we had typed the word morning for Excel to look for in this row. You can also only make use absolute referencing to select what you want Excel to find your Excel to find in your criteria range. So in this example, I'm not going to type the word evening. I'm going to make reference to the cell evening. So by doing that, this is how I'll do it. I'll type SUMIF, then I select my range. I remember I must now put absolute referencing on this, comma. I select the criteria. I put absolute referencing for this as well, comma, and then my sum range. Then I close my bracket. Press the enter button and drag this down. So as you can see, when you add 77 to 230, you get 307, like here. So it means that at least this is correct. So now we have our SUMIF function here. We did the sum of the values of the sales that appeared only in morning for this column L, while in column M we have the sum of the values of the sales in the evening. The SUMIFS function is similar to SUMIF. The only difference is that in SUMIFS function you can have more than one criteria for Excel. So using the knowledge we have from the SUMIF, let's say we want to have my second condition I want to give Excel is I want Excel to find the sum of all the morning sales which are greater than 20, while the evening sales should be greater than 50. Okay, so I'll type my equals to SUMIFS. Then now it's asking me to select my sum range. Notice, remember that the sum range was the last thing we selected in the SUMIF, but this is a bit different. it's with backwards, but the outcome is usually the same, but the concept is the same. So I select my sum range, which is this, my numbers I want to add. Then now it's asking me for my first criteria. My first criteria is my criteria range is I want to look here, comma, and select morning. So remember, since we're fixing our criteria range where you should look for the morning, I need to make absolute reference into that also for the morning. Then press my comma. And then my second criteria is I want to look here and find out all the sales, comma, which are greater than 20. Oh, likewise, Excel may not recognize some functions or some symbols on your keyboard. That's why we need to put it in quotation marks here. So, and I press enter. So here you don't need to make absolute referencing to in the second criteria, because you need it to go down to check each row to find out which sales are greater than 20. And then I have it here, 52. So let us do a quick check. For morning sales, this is greater than 20, so it's Excel picks it. This is not greater than 20, so Excel ignores it. This is not greater than 20 as well, Excel ignores it, and we have 26 here, so 26 plus 26 gives us 52. Then let's look at the second row. We have 12, 10, we have 20 here, and we have 1. Remember we told Excel to check out to find out the sum of all the numbers greater than 20. 20 is not greater than 20, 20 is equal to 20, so Excel will not have that. So likewise in mathematics, if something is equal doesn't mean it's greater than it. So Excel has ignored that. But unless we switched our minds and said, Excel, give me the sum of everything that is greater than or equals to 20. So like I've said it, we have the greater than, then we'll put the equals to sign here, 20. And I press the enter button and I drag this all down. Notice 20 appears here because this is equal to 20. So now Excel has selected it. So then finally, I'm going to work on the evenings. So I'm going to tell Excel to find the sum of all the values if they're greater than 50. So Excel will check here in the sum range and look for anything that is evening in my first criteria range. Evening. And then anything that is here, my second criteria, that is greater than 50. Close the quotation, close brackets, and press enter. Right. And then I drag my formula down. And there we have it. So this is just a brief explanation of how to use the sum functions, the SUMIF, sum product, and SUMIFS function. So the last of the sums that I'm going to talk about is the sum square function. This is for finding the sum of the square of some numbers. So the square of a number is the product of a number when you multiply it by itself. So here, it's simply, for the first one, it's going to be 2 times 2, or here it will be 3 times 3. Sorry, I didn't put equals to sign. Equals to 3 times 3. And the last one will be equals to 4 times 4. A quick way to do a power function, that is a square function, is to make Excel to also just automatically do it. You can tell Excel, I want you to find the square of a number. So I can do absolute referencing in this case. So to be equals to this raised to the power by 2. Sorry, by 2. So this little hat here means raised to the power. And then any number I put after the 2, after that hat, will be it's like a square. If I put 3, you find the cubic ratio or cubic of it, or so on and so forth. And to give me the same number. So I found the square of the numbers, and then to find the sum of the square of the numbers is to do a sum function. So like that, and press enter, and it gives me 29. But to use the sum square function, I can simply type sum square tab and select these numbers and press enter, and it gives me the same answer as if I do it manually. So here we have it. I've gone through my sum function, sum product, SUMIF, SUMIFS, and sum square function. Thank you very much for your time.